Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations unto the tabernacle of David, the for elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all can see that the tension is starting to boil over between America and its own European allies over Greenland. And, it's a lot of speculation as to, why Trump is pushing to, take control of Greenland. And then, of course, you got NATO. They're pushing back. They're resisting it, and they're even trying to mobilize troops and send them over to Greenland in case something might pop off. And this is all causing the major shift in relations between the whore and the beast. All right, so we're in interesting times, but when you read into the reasons as to why Trump is so hard bent on taking Greenland, it's quite interesting because we know, when you look at it on a map, where it's positioned in between North America, closer towards Canada. And then on the other side, you still have, that whole region over there in you got northwestern Asia. You got, Russia, parts of Europe on the other side. All right. When you go on the other side of the Arctic, right? So this is the Treasury Secretary, and he's basically giving reasons to why Trump would want to siege or take over Greenland. And he said that basically it's essential for Trump's Golden Dome, which we know that Trump had been alluding to, setting up an anti-missile defense called a Golden Dome. He wanted to put it here in the States, but it would even be better if he actually placed it in territory that's not directly in America, but it's in land that's controlled by America. You see, like you had Russia that put, they gave Cuba, one of their intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they called it the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? So you can have another country where you occupy and have relations with them, and you can actually set your weapons there, right? Now, the scriptures talk about the armory of the Most High, because that's basically what those missiles are. The missiles are part of the Most High's armory. Jeremiah 50, I think it might be in 51. I always get the two chapters mixed up when bringing about that verse. Yep, so Jeremiah 50, and I'm going to start at verse 23, because, at this point, with the aggressive nature of Babylon under Trump's administration, you can conclude that America is definitely the hammer of the whole earth. All right, they're waging war everywhere. So verse 23, it says, "How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations?" So this is the aftermath. All right. After the Lord is done with this place, the question is, how did it become a desolation among all nations? How was it once a dominating force to now it's just smoke and ashes, right? "I have laid a snare for thee." And who's laying that snare? The Most High is. The Lord rules in the kingdom of men. Also, the heart of kings The rulers is in the hands of the Most High. The Lord governs the world with the palm of his hand. So everything is under his demand. Everything is under his ultimate control. Esau thinks he's in control, but no. All right, that's why he's in over his own head. The scriptures say the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. All right, but the Lord is the one that's setting that trap for Babylon. All right, it says, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Especially when you have that attitude of, I am and none else. You got that God complex. You think nobody can see you. All right, just bullying and dominating the world. All right, and on top of that, you still oppressing the Lord's people. All right. When you jump down to the 33rd verse, it says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah will oppress together. We didn't get oppressed together during the Neo-Babylonian Empire, because the northern tribes, they got brought into the Assyrian captivity. And a lot of them, when you read 2nd Ezra 13th chapter, they ended up leaving that captivity and they fled to this side of the world. All right. So prior to that, we really wasn't oppressed as a nation. All 12 tribes are being oppressed together. We was oppressed under the Egyptian captivity, and then the Lord did what he did, and then we was able to walk out of there. But now we're in modern day Egypt, and we're being oppressed together. All right. So that's pretty much part of Esau. All right, waging war against Jacob. He's striving against the Lord because we're the apple of the Lord's eye. So let's jump back up. And it says, verse 25, it says, the Lord have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. And that's why in the past couple of decades, I say really since the end of the Cold War, you had such a high value of nuclear development, where all these other smaller countries, they all use their economy and they put it into their military, even if they had to go poor, just so that they can develop their nuclear arsenals. All right, and that's going into Joel the 3rd chapter, where it tells the nations to beat their pruning hooks into spears and their beat their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say that I am strong. And America being a dominating force, they done made so many enemies. You didn't cross damn near every nation. And so the nations, they've since then have been distancing themselves, and they've been forming relations and pacts and deals, alliances with each other, just to undermine Babylon's dominance. And it's only right when the shit hits the fan and this all-out war that all these other nations are going to have to band together to fight against this beast. And the Lord put the spirit on all these nations to develop for the Lord's armory. All right, it says, and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. In this same chapter, the Lord is going to put the spirit on all these nations to shoot their arrows right on Babylon. Okay. So that's when the Lord finally gets ready to open up that armory. When you look up the word armory, the word is a watazar, and it says a depository, armory, cellar, garner, storehouse, treasure house, storehouse, treasure of gold, silver, store, supplies of food or drink, treasure, house, treasury. Now down here it says magazine of weapons, figuratively of God's armory. Okay. So those nukes are all part of the weapons of the Lord's indignation. In America, they know that they've made so many enemies. And it just so happened that a lot of their enemies have been arming themselves. They've been developing. They all occupy missiles. And especially Russia. All right. Russia, the main one that rival America in military might and firepower. Nuclear submarines, hypersonic nuclear weapons. So Greenland in these devils' eyes, that can be a buffer zone where they can actually occupy that land to set up a defense for if somebody across the Arctic tries to shoot a ICBM over to this side. So this is really all part of the strategy in the theater of war. But it just so happened that it ain't going according to plan because Greenland, which is occupied by Denmark, which is supposed to be a ally, all of NATO is saying no. We're not going to allow you. You can't. This is not for sale. We don't want to give up Greenland to America. So this is getting in the way of those plans. So if it comes down to it, they got to fight it out, which we know that, that's not going to just happen right away. But this is all part of the buildup. This is part of that prophecy of Revelation 17:16. The beast shall hate the whore. So it says Scott Bessent says Greenland is essential for Trump's Golden Dome defense plan. It says live on the Davos stage, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent outlined President Donald Trump's plans for Greenland and explained why the territory is critical to U.S. national security. I think the president has a very strong view on Western Hemisphere security and believes that the U.S. should not outsource our national security. Bessent told Fox Business Maria Bartiromo at the World Economic Forum on Tuesday he believes that Greenland is essential for the Golden Dome missile shield. So they want to try to shield themselves, because you got so many enemies to take on. And if they all fire, yeah, you're going to need something to defend yourself with. You need a shield. But little do they know, prophecy states that none of those arrows are going to miss. So you about to get into it with your own allies. You turning your allies into enemies over a situation that you have no control over. Because ultimately, the Most High, the Heavenly Father himself, he already sanctioned what's going to happen. Let me get Isaiah 55. Isaiah 55 verse 10, it says, "For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." All right, and the Lord said through the prophets that Babylon's going to become a desolate wasteland. It's going to be as when the Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will not be inhabited. So there's nothing that can be done to reverse that. Not a golden dome, or you putting 1.5 trillion into your the development of your military. They try to advance your military and technology and your weaponry. Because that's another reason why you want Greenland and you want all these Latin American countries, you're trying to gather up all the resources so that you can weaponize a bit of those resources. All right. Matter of fact, this is from a former CIA spy. This is what he said. All right. It says, a former CIA covert intelligence officer has shared what he believes are the genuine motivations behind U.S. President Donald Trump's desire to acquire Greenland. Andrew Bustamante previously served in the United States Air Force in nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile operations before being recruited into the Central Intelligence Agency's National Clandestine Service. All right. He currently hosts the Everyday Spy podcast, offering analysts on subjects including politics, global conflict, psychology, and the intelligence services. Recently, Trump declared he would impose tariffs on the UK and 7 additional European nations unless they permitted the US to purchase the Danish territory. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer responded today during a press conference calling the tariffs wrong and asserting that only Greenland and Denmark have the authority to determine the territory's future. And let me jump down. You look like a fairy with all that damn hair. It says, Trump maintains that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security reasons and will secure control of the Arctic island the easy way or the hard way, indicating that military action remains a possibility. However, Andrew proposes there are additional factors involved. He told us American dominance in the Arctic is critical to American primacy, and that's the argument for Greenland. The second argument for Greenland is the importance of American economic independence in the use of not only strategic critical use minerals or rare earth minerals, but also critical minerals. So the minerals that are required for economic development, as well as the rare earth minerals that are required for military advancement and weaponization, both of those exist in Greenland, with the benefit of global warming, which is making more and more of Greenland accessible. So he wants the minerals that are up there. Anything that they can use to weaponize, to convert and use, for his force of the sword. Going right back into his blessing. He would live by that sword. That's how you know he represents that the red horse spoken of in Revelation 6 and verse 4. All right. So they're pretty much arming up. That's why they're now the Department of War now. All right, because they're in that war mode. All right, Esau has a lot to fight for because his kingdom is getting ready to go down, and he can sense it, he can feel it. So they want to advance their military, their technology. All right, they want to confiscate as much land and resources as possible. This is all what they're setting out to do. All right, but at the end of the day, he's still going to go into perdition no matter what he does. All right. So let me go from there to let's go to Joel. Matter of fact, before I go there, let me go to Second Esdras. Because their main concern is security. We don't want Russia and China and them to have the drop on us, and they can use the airspace that goes over, the Arctic, and they can use it to take us out. But this is what this prophecies say. Second Esdras 16 and verse I'll read verse 3. It says, a sword is sent unto you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? All right, and these are strong questions, because at the end of the day, when the Lord sends something, hey, it's not going to return void. All right. Like when these devils try to make these plans ahead of time, and like what they doing at the World Economic Forum, trying to orchestrate a future for the world. Who the hell are you devils to decide that? Like they could just bypass the Most High and His will, like He's not in control. Lamentation 3 and 37. And it says, who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commandeth it not? Exactly. Let me read that in the NLT. And it says, who can command things to happen without the Lord's permission? All right. Can't nobody. And there's nobody in heaven that can say that they're the Lord's counselor. All right. There's nobody in heaven giving the Lord advice. Okay. He's the ultimate judge. He decides judgment on the earth. Okay. So going back here, let me jump down to verse 13. And it says, for strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow. And when you go back to Jeremiah 50, it calls out to all the nations that actually have a bow. And that bow is just a metaphor for the nuclear missile. Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50 and verse 9. It says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, starting with the Russians and then all their allies. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Let me jump down to verse 13. It says, because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. All right. So that's final. It says, going back to 2nd Ezra 16 and 13 says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. So according to prophecy, those when those nukes finally get shot off, they're not going to miss. So it would be a waste of money of them, setting up that Golden Dome, that defense system. Like that Iron Dome over there got exposed last summer when they had that exchange with Iran. And now they're hesitating again and stalling this alleged strike on Iran. Because now Iran is like, hey, this is not going to be what you think it is this time. You got China secretly sending planes over there and dropping off secret weapons to them. So they don't know what to expect. So they got to be more strategic now, because Iran, they're on alert. Okay. They were trying to distract them by sending those agents in there to stir up insurrection in their country. But then they shut off communication and they cracked down on the protests and arrested a lot of them. And you would think that they would use that distraction to finally go in, but something must have happened, because their airspace got locked down to where nobody entered into their airspace. It could have been Russia and China, and sending that warning flag to Babylon. So it's going to eventually go down, man. All right. We just waiting for this devil to come with the MOT to the B. All right. So let me go from there to Joel. And we're going to read it in the NLT. And this is dealing with the same judgment. This is Joel 2. Yeah, this is Joel 2 and 5. It says, look at them as they leap along the mountaintops. Listen to the noise they make, like the rumbling of chariots, like the roar of fire sweeping across a field of stubble, or like a mighty army moving into battle. Because the missiles are going to be like mighty expert men. They're going to be shotting off with pinpoint accuracy. And they're going to be in formation like men in battle. All right. It says fear grips all the people. Every face grows pale with terror, especially when they hear the sirens, the alarms going off. Yeah, this is not a test. The attackers march like warriors and scale city walls like soldiers. Straightforward, they march, never breaking rank. Meaning these missiles are not going to run into each other and detonate. They're going to be shot right to its intended target. And there's a lot of bullseyes right here on the shores of Babylon, America. Since they never jostle each other, each moves in exactly the right position. They break through defenses without missing a step. So we know what this means. Your missile defense is not going to work because the Lord is going to be the one that's going to be in control. So you getting into a beef with your allies over a land because you think this land might actually be it might be a buffer zone that you can actually use to prevent nuclear attacks from your enemies. You could use it as a stronghold for defense. But the prophecies say that they're going to break through your defenses. So it doesn't even mean anything. So you're being snared, because either way, it's going to happen either way, even if you was to get Greenland. But now, if you go in there and you invade Greenland, now NATO is officially an enemy. They're not allies. If you don't get Greenland and you don't get to set up your defense system, hey, they have more of a accurate shot when this nuclear war happens. Okay. So, hey, either way, Babylon is through. Okay. But I thought this was interesting, because this is what they're basing Trump's reasoning for trying to attain Greenland under the control of America, man. Okay. This devil's nature to be insatiable. Neither keepeth at home. And it's only gaining them more and more enemies. So anyway, I just thought I'd do something on that, and hopefully y'all were edified. I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.